For 2024, Toyota has totally redesigned their midsize truck, the Tacoma. This is the 2024 Toyota Tacoma TRD Off-Road. The Off-Road is one of 6 different trims now available for 2024. There are more power options available as far as engines go. 6 different trim levels now available, and there are also more modern features and more modern design. This is the 4th generation Tacoma, and it has totally been refreshed and redone. It isn't just minor tweaks like, new headlights or new side body panels or new cladding or anything like that. No, Toyota has really put a lot of time, effort, and thought and research and design into this brand new Tacoma, and I can't wait to show it to you today. There is so much to get to on the interior. Check out that blue accent. It doesn't really go with the rest of the car, but I feel like it works all at the same time. It is so cool. This is, again, the TRD off-road version of the Tacoma, so this is as overland friendly as it gets. Anyone with a heart for off-road mountain terrain fun, this is the Tacoma for you. These big beefy tires, the lifted suspension. I can't wait to show you more and give you all the stats. I'm gonna leave it right here so we can get to the video and do the full review of the outside, full review of the inside, and also take this out on the road and show you what it does in everyday traffic. Of course, if you are brand new to the channel here, thank you so much for finding us. Smash that subscribe button below and that big like button as well. And be sure to follow us over on Instagram at Overdrive Reviews. If you are a returning viewer, I appreciate you so very much. All right, let's hop into this 2024 Toyota Tacoma TRD Off-Road. Boy, is it gonna be fun. Before we get going though, a huge shout out to the folks at Kramer's Middletown in Middletown, Pennsylvania for lending me this 2024 Toyota Tacoma TRD Off-Road for the day. They have long-term rentals, they've got daily rentals, they've got sales, they've got tons of EVs, trucks, SUVs, sports sedans. These folks have every kind of car, vehicle, truck, SUV you could ever want. Visit the link below, and there's more in the description of this video below. Okay, now let's dive into the exterior. Alrighty, so for 2024, like I said, a totally brand new Tacoma, which for the fans of this truck, they're probably just giddy with excitement. 6 different trim levels starting around $32,995, ranging up to $53,595. The SR, the SR5, the TRD Pre-Runner, the TRD Sport, the TRD Off-Road, and then the top of the line for $53,000, the Limited Tacoma. So tons of options here. Every single one of them is a body on frame construction, and every single one comes with more muscular facade. Look at the front here, totally redone as well. I love the lights here on this kind of cloudy day, really shining bright. There is a 360 camera system available on the Tacoma. This particular model that I have here today for our tester does not have that system built in, but you can see these big 33-inch BF Goodrich trail terrain TA tires. They are huge. The actual numbers are 265, 70, R17, I believe, but TRD right there in the center for you. Huge brakes in the back. You can see just how this thing would excel over rocky, muddy, difficult terrain or any kind of overland fun that you want to have. Let's go to the back here and check out the sight from this angle here. You can definitely see there's some inspiration, some complementariness of the Tundra here in this smaller Tacoma. Right here, TRD Off-Road for you, big lettering right here in the back. And again, this is the almost top of the line model. The only thing that's more luxurious, I guess if you want to call it, is the limited trim. This one right here, again, for the TRD Off-Road starts around $43,295. I want to talk about the rear here real quick while I'm back here. There is available coil spring rear suspension on the higher end models like this one here. The more entry level like the SR and the extended cab Tacomas maintain that rear leaf spring setup, the more traditional setup for the rear suspension. So the SR entry-level base truck does have that rear leaf spring suspension. All the other higher end ones do have that coil spring rear suspension, which obviously makes the ride more comfortable and just more refined, even though you're in kind of a truck with these big beefy tires. I don't love all of the plastic that's built in right here. This cladding seems to be a little bit more plastic than this thing needs to have on it, especially for $45,000 when all all is said and done. A little more plastic than I think it should really have. And you have these gorgeous center fog lights here. Let me just change the brightness so you can see these better. Yeah, they're beautiful. From the side here too, I can only imagine on a super foggy day, they probably shine your way just perfectly. And it's a taller vehicle too. I mean, I don't know if you can kind of see, but my reflection's right here. My hip is right about here. It's a tall mid-size truck for sure, no doubt about that. And I love that the accented TRD lettering is right here in the center of every wheel too. Just a nice little touch to kind of show off the TRD brand. And since we're back here at the rear, let's talk about the cargo and the bed options that you do have. So Toyota calls their extended cab the extra cab. It is a 6-foot cargo bed only. Now the crew cab, the double cab, can either be paired with the 6-foot or a 5-foot cargo bed. Now the payload is about 1,705 pounds, and the hybrid Tacoma, by the way, which is a totally different model that I'm not going to talk much about today, the hybrid payload is pretty much the same, around 1,700 pounds. So more than enough than the average person probably needs. Just want to give you a shot here of the off-road portion of this Tacoma. You can see it right there, highlighted in red and blue for you, obviously giving this truck more capabilities off-road, overlanding terrain. I unfortunately do not have permission to take this on any off-road courses for the day, but so I will just have to dream about what this thing can potentially do. But I'd love to hear what other folks who have one of these already, or you're thinking about getting one of these, what things you might want to do with it. Let me know in the comments below where you would take your TRD off-road. All right, enough about the outside. Let's hop under the hood. I mentioned that there are multiple engines available, but there is kind of a qualifier with that. Let's hop under the hood. So for 2024, every single Tacoma comes with a 2.4-liter turbocharged 4-cylinder engine. What's different about that is that there are 3 different configurations, 2 gasoline engines and 1 hybrid option called the iForce Max. I'm not really going to focus on that one today. This engine here is the iForce, 278 horsepower, 317 pound-feet of torque. Now the less powerful engine of that 2.4-liter 4-cylinder is a 228 horsepower engine that is only available in the entry-level truck, the SR Tacoma. So 2 different engine options. This one is the more powerful option. Now rear-wheel drive and 4-wheel drive are both available. Rear-wheel drive gets about 23-26 on the MPGs, while the 4-wheel drive gets about 20-23. So definitely a little bit of difference there depending on what powertrain setup you do have. And honestly, those aren't amazing improvements over the V6 that the Tacoma used to have. It's still a little bit gas thirsty, but more than enough power under this hood here to get this thing up to 60 miles an hour in about 7 seconds. For a mid-sized truck with beefier tires and not all that aerodynamic of a style, that's more than enough thrust and acceleration for the average everyday person. And also transmission-wise, you have options there as well, either an 8-speed automatic transmission or a 6-speed manual. So different things you can have all over the place, different engines, different transmissions, different powertrains, whatever you want. Toyota is trying to give it to you here in this redone, more optioned Tacoma for 2024. All right, enough about all the power and the stats under the hood. Let's hop inside and show you all the updates there. There are plenty. Alrighty, so on the inside of this Tacoma, lots of upgrades here as well. Let's start at the door. You see that big blue accent trim? It is throughout the vehicle there on the dashboard. We'll get in there in just a moment. But here, I love the door. Very, utilitarian, very kind of rough and tough with this mesh kind of basket up top and down here as well for your cups, and a big beefy handle right here for you as well. It's a little wobbly. Look at that. It already is kind of separating a little bit. I don't love that, and I would imagine all this kind of cleans off nicely from any dirt you do get on it. A big old handle here as well. You do have automatic up and down windows for at least the front and the passenger here. I don't know if the back is. Oh, the back is as well. Look at that. Those 4 windows right here for you. Let's hop inside. Maybe that alarm will stop going off in the background here. Do a door check. Nice and solid for sure. Love that. All right, so look at this cockpit. It's got that blue all over the place, and it is quite a nicely redone center stack, steering wheel all together. Now this TRD model does have the TRD on the button as well, so tap that. and she starts right on up. Now, most Tacomas have a 7-inch digital gauge cluster, but TRD off-road models and up have this 12-inch gauge cluster. Actually, I think it's a 12.3-inch digital gauge cluster, and you can control it down here by these big arrows. So push the arrow over, and it'll cycle through any number of things: your normal settings, your battery and oil, different drivetrain options, adaptive cruise mode. You can check your MPGs, all sorts of things here like you normally would be able to. And what's different though from me, which I found kind of confusing, I'm used to like all of my entertainment things being on one side and my driving things being on the other. Well, all of the lower row is your entertainment stuff. So mode actually changes the center screen there. It doesn't actually change anything in the center. This again is your seek button. So all the lower row is your entertainment stuff. Everything up above in row 2 and 3, I guess, all of that stuff is actual, adaptive cruise control, lane keep assist, things like that, your Bluetooth, hands-free speakers and everything. So just kind of a note, I kind of thought these arrows at first were my volume button or my seek button or something like that. They are not. So over here on the side, you've got all your buttons here as well. A bunch of buttons. It looks like a dial pad of some sort. Obviously some more buttons that you can fill in there with higher models. Automatic high beams, traction control, dimming the lighting on the inside or not. A big old vent right there above it. It feels a little bit chintzy in areas, I'm not going to lie. It kind of is full of plastic in more ways than I maybe think it should be. All of this is plastic up here too, and I'm not sure if that's a cost-cutting measure, if that's just, hey, we're making an off-road friendly truck, it's got to be cleanable. It's it's kind of a more rough and tough thing, but I do wish there were less plastic here in this vehicle. So the center screen, let's talk about that. An 8-inch touchscreen is standard on most Tacomas, and the Limited actually comes standard with a 14-inch display screen. So you can opt into the 14-inch display screen if you want to, but most of them will end up having the 8-inch screen here in your Tacoma. And it's very, very Toyota familiar, very set up the same way, a Tundra is, or a Camry, anything like that. So nothing much there to go over that you couldn't figure out on your own. I am a little displeased with, I took a couple of corners earlier today, and this, yeah, it makes a little bit of squeaky noise around some turns. Maybe it's just it's still so new, it's got 6 miles on it and it needs to be broken in more, but I do wish that this screen kind of didn't, rattle as much as it does. There is a lot of plasticky materials in here. Even though they've been kind of upgraded, there's still maybe some work to be done. But before we go down here, I do want to address the steering wheel. It is a fat steering wheel. I mean, it is, look at this, it is thick down here. It is a thick steering wheel all the way around, nicely wrapped in leather for sure. More than enough places to grip and feel comfortable with your hands placed, out on the road. So down here you do have one phone right there. You've got a space for another one right next to it, and they prop up nicely just sitting right here, which is quite cool. They're kind of directly in your vision then as the driver. Down here you've got all of your different driving modes and things like that. It looks very kind of confusing at first, but right here, if you see, you've got your 4 low, 4 high, and then 2 high, and you just pinch this right here, and then you can change what drive mode you want to be in. And the truck then corresponds up above with what mode you've switched the truck into. You've also got, crawl mode right here for you as well. You've got tow haul mode here, and then you can also spin this wheel, and then up here on your big screen, up here on your dash digital gauge cluster, you can change between different driving modes here too. Sport, normal, eco, those sorts of things. And you just spin that wheel to go through and toggle through those 3 options. But a big gear shifter right here for you as well, labeled with your TRD branding as well. Very simple, very normal, traditional gear shifter for you. An 8-speed automatic transmission here in this truck. You've got your parking brake and your hold button for you too. Kind of a nice little area here. There could be more storage here. It's a little bit blocked. I mean, this is a deep little cavern right here for a map, for a book, for something like that. And it's a nice grab bar for getting in and getting out on the passenger side at least. But you do have USB-C charging points right there, or charging ports rather, right there, as well as I believe a 12-volt outlet here. Yeah, 12-volt outlet there for you as well. Down here in the center where my key is, you've got 2 nice cup holders. They're not terribly deep. I could see a larger drink maybe tipping over or becoming top heavy, so be careful with those right there. The center armrest, let's open this up. Not all that deep either, but you can hide some things in there, but not overly cavernous. Now let's go back to the center stack and talk about the climate control. Big knobs. Again, if you've seen my previous videos, features. I love big, traditional, old school, tactile knobs. Just like this. Push this on and off, yeah, and then you just turn it. That's all you got to do. It's super simple. No, it's not buried in some screen or buried in some crazy system and it's hard to find. Nope, it is all right here and easy to figure out. Your fan speed is over on this side, your temperature over on this side, and then your mode and other various things here in the center. So turn that down so I can hear myself speak, and actually turn this down a little bit too and put on the AC because I'm getting hot sitting in here. Let's go over here to the other side of the front area. A nice little ledge right here hidden underneath between the dash and the glove box for laying a phone, laying some materials, laying a pen, something like that. A little deck there for you for storage. A nice logo for the Tacoma right here on the dash. I love this. A smaller than I expected kind of glove box. It's more than enough probably for the average person, but it could be a little bit bigger in my opinion. And again, a big old piece of plastic, so a little rickety if you ask me. And down there, this one has a first aid kit actually sitting there on the side footwell. I really think Toyota has a winner here and has really given fans of this truck something to yearn for and to and admire. The seats comfortable as well. They are cloth and they're both manual. They are not automatic. They are not power on this TRD off-road, and they're heavily bolstered too. Look how thick this side bolster is right here. It's quite nice. They're definitely comfortable. There could be a little bit more support in my opinion here on the thigh area. I'm a taller guy, so this mid-size truck maybe isn't the best fit for me, but there could be more thigh support if you're a taller person. You do have power lumbar support, which is nice. That's the only power part of the seat. And things like wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto are standard on all Tacomas, which is a nice thing as well. You can opt up from the base audio system to a JBL premium audio system, and that JBL system actually comes with a Bluetooth speaker that is in the dash that is removable, so you can take it wherever you want to go. If you're going to the beach or something like that, to the mountains, and you're parking at a campsite, so that only comes with the JBL premium audio system, which is probably an upgrade that I would get if I were buying one of these Tacomas. Let's hop into the rear seat now and see how much room is back there, and I gotta give you a little bit of a hint. It's not all that much. Okay, so here in the rear seat, look where I have my seat located, okay? That is where I would drive at. There is not a ton of legroom back here at all. So I would be very cautious to put any more than 2 smaller adults back here. 3 certainly will not fit. There will not be enough legroom. So be aware that the back seat is a little cramped for sure for legroom. Now, as far as cargo goes, there's probably a lot more room for that. So down here, a little strap, just pull this up, and this rear seat reveals a little bit of storage space underneath the seats here to hide tools, things like that. And also these stay up then if you want to carry boxes, put a bunch of things in the back, and instead of carrying people, you can have a bunch of things back here. So put these back down. If you want to put these seats down also too, just yank up on these straps, and the seats then will go down. You'll have to obviously move the front seat for that to happen, but some more basic storage back here, like most trucks, behind these rear seats. And this center one does as well. If you pull up on this strap right here, and then those 2 seats go down together, revealing a little bit of more room, but again, not a ton. There is no charger back here. I guess you could count this 12 volt right there in the center, but there aren't any vents back here. There aren't any controls back here. Kind of lacking in the rear seat if you ask me, and especially because this is the 5th most expensive trim. All you get are some map flaps and this 12 volt outlet, and okay, you've got some cup holders, but that's all you've got. You don't have cup holders right here in the center or anything else. So kind of a cramped back seat, not a ton of room. Just be aware, if you buy one of these, it is more cargo friendly back here than it is people friendly. All right, we are out behind the wheel of this TRD off-road, and I can feel instantly that it is a better ride. I've driven a few Tacomas over the years, friends, family, just random rental trucks, and this is far superior as far as the ride goes. It definitely still drives like a truck where, it's wide, it's tall, you got these chunky tires on it. It's definitely more comfortable. The seat is super comfortable, and the suite of safety features are actually pretty good. Sometimes they're just built into a car and you never feel them activate, never feel them at work. They feel at work all the time in this truck, at least in my view. The safety equipment, the lane keep assist, the rear cross traffic alert, all of that stuff is doing a great job of keeping me feel pretty in control here. The wheel nicely you know, corrects itself. The car definitely pushes itself back to where it's supposed to be. So it's sensitive, which is a good thing, and you can adjust that as well. The rear cross traffic alert and the blind spot monitoring are actually options on this. They don't come standard, but I was backing out of a restaurant for lunch here, and the rear cross traffic alert actually came in handy a couple of times because I was backing out next to a larger SUV and could not see, and the arrow on the screen came out with a noise well before I had any clue a car was coming. So the rear cross traffic alert certainly works well here. And as far as like the gauge cluster goes, I'm kind of impressed. It reads stop signs, it reads your speed limit signs, and coming to some stops here at stoplights and stop signs, the truck feels nice. The engine, a little noisy. You can definitely hear the turbo spooling up and kind of taking off. It's actually quite a nice sound once it gets up and moving, but there's a little bit of hesitation initially with the acceleration and some more noise than I think I would care for. And another thing I forgot to mention is the complimentary scheduled maintenance. It's 2 years, 25,000 miles, complimentary scheduled maintenance, which gives it an up over some other competitors. And again, this large steering wheel, it's almost too big for the truck, to be totally honest. Toyota says that they've given this steering wheel column more movement and more maneuverability this year. I guess that could be true. I wish it went a little bit higher than where it is. I've got it pretty much maxed out as far as the height goes. I've got it in about half the way and I've got it up the whole way. And I wish it kind of went up another inch or so. It kind of is blocking some of the gauges in the digital gauge cluster for me at this angle. And I guess I could lower my seat, but then I feel like I'm down way too low. So it's a nice steering wheel, but I do feel like it's too big, and there's not as much movement in it as I would like. Talking about this center screen here, this again is the smaller version, the 8-inch instead of the much larger version that you can get and opt up to. It's relatively bland. I kind of wish there wasn't as much bezeling around it as there is. There's black or kind of grayish black plastic cladding, then the actual like glass screen part has black cladding, and then it's the screen. There's like 2 frames around it, and it just seems like wasted space. And you know, especially when this is off, it looks like a much larger screen, and then you turn it on, you're like, oh, it's only 8 inches. It's not that big. It's a little tough to deal with as far as maneuvering it and kind of clicking the things you want whenever you're driving, because it is completely flat and completely facing the rear. It's not angled toward the driver or slanted at all, so your finger doesn't naturally hit it kind of where maybe it does on other cars. So it's a little tough to use the touchscreen if you're going over some bumps and things like that. Your finger might be thrown a little bit. The seat's comfortable for sure. Like I mentioned before, I wish there was more thigh support up front especially, and I would imagine on a longer drive you'd really want that. But I do love the big digital gauge cluster. Nice job on that for sure by Toyota. And this blue, again, really growing on me. When I first saw it, I was like, oh my god, this blue accent trim, what is this? It's a black truck with no blue anywhere else. The TRD stuff is all red. Why blue? But it actually is kind of growing on me. I kind of like it. If you want more space, you need to get the Tundra then. This is certainly a mid-sized truck. I mean, it feels big maybe when you're looking at it outside, but when you get in here, there's not a ton of room. It is still a smaller truck, so don't be fooled by this redesign. Gonna come to a complete stop now and put this in sport mode so we can kind of whack the accelerator and see what's going on. I've just got it in 4-wheel drive. Ready? Nah. Definitely a little sluggish to 60 miles an hour, even in sport mode. I always do the acceleration test because, I mean, I think a modern day car needs to be ready to kind of dart, merge, and go quick when it needs to. Not an overly impressive sprint to 60. Yeah, and handling is quite nice. I mean, definitely a little bit of a truck feel to it still, for sure, but it's a comfortable ride. It is not clunky. And except for whenever you're, you know, maybe under heavier acceleration, the cabin is relatively quiet. I don't hear any air. I don't hear any wind noise going by any of the windows. All right, one more time with a sprint to 60 miles an hour, but this time in 2-wheel drive with the air turned off. I had it on slightly before just to see what it would be like under acceleration. All right, here we go. In 3, 2. Oh yeah, definitely quicker. 60 right now. Definitely a quicker sprint to 60 miles an hour with the settings I just had. No air conditioning on, and the rear-wheel drive setting for sure. I should have probably done that the first time. Let's do some braking here. Braking test. Yeah, that was good. Shifting isn't as smooth as it could be, in my opinion. The downshifting is a little jerky. It could also just be I'm not used to how trucks drive, but to me could be a little bit more smooth. But by and large, still a great vehicle for the average mid-sized truck buyer. I mean, tons of tech on the inside, totally redone on the outside. It looks better, it feels better, it rides better. The only thing that would make you pass on it, in my view, would be you just need more room and you just need more towing and payload capacity, in which case you just hike up to the Tundra. And by the way, I reviewed a brand new Tundra a couple of weeks ago. You can check it out right here on the channel. It's a beautiful truck. Well, that is it for today's review of this 2024 Toyota Tacoma TRD Off-Road. I thank you so much for watching. If you are new to the channel, like I mentioned before, please make sure you are subscribed below. If you are a returning viewer, I appreciate your support and your loyalty all so much. And if you are so inclined, please follow us over on Instagram as well at Overdrive Reviews. Leave any comments below for me here in the video. I'll try to answer whatever ones I can get to, and if I forgot something, let me know, or let me know what else you want to see in these videos. I'm kind of just doing this as I think of things and saying things as they come to my mind, so let me know what I'm missing below. That is it for this one. We'll catch you next time around.